Now, if you were to sit me down and ask me to play pure Labyrinth, this is the deck that I would build. This cuts away some of the unnecessary sort of facets that we were showing off in yesterday's video, because that's where the hype was, right? Everyone wanted to use those uberly powerful cards. This is a more realistic version of the deck that I think is going to be much more popular. Now, why is it going to be more popular? First of all, it's more versatile because it plays more hand traps, right? And that is a big thing. Regular sort of like those blowout Labyrinth decks you're seeing before weren't really playing a ton of hand traps because they wanted to play 4 million trap cards, right? And that's great if you go first, and not so great otherwise. And again, Master Duel's best one on a coin toss, 50-50. You can't build a deck that only wins going first, right? So that's why we've built it this way, maxing out on the furniture. We're still playing the same sort of, like, the combo remains the same from the previous video and from the short and everything that we did. We're setting up the Labyrinth so that we can use our trap card on the turn we set it during our opponent's turn, but the card we're focusing on with that effect is Dimensional Barrier. Dimensional Barrier, of course, being a tremendously powerful card, and being able to use it in response to your opponent after knowing what type of deck they're playing is absolutely incredible. So you still get that big blowout power, you still get an incredible amount of control, but it comes in a much neater package because you have Maxi, you have Ash Blossom for opposing Labyrinth decks and for opposing branded decks for whatever it is. You've got Call by the Grave to stop your opponent from hitting you with Ash Blossom, because Ash Blossom hurts this deck a lot. And we're also fitting in Ariane to use a rank 4 package with the extra deck. Now, we're going to cover all of this off towards the end of the video, talking more about it. We're going to do, again, a card for card at the end. We're going to do it rather quickly because, of course, we did just cover this deck, but I'll do so nonetheless. We've got a few games lined up, some really good games, showing off the combos, showing off some of the plays. Again, the extra deck, you don't dip into it too much, but having the option to grants you a lot of versatility, so we do want to show it off just a little bit. But either way, if you're here and this is your first time being here, or maybe you've watched a few videos in the past but you just haven't subscribed, I would urge you to do so. Again, doesn't cost you anything, helps me out, helps you out, everybody wins. And like the video if you enjoy watching, every little bit counts. And if you do want to leave a comment down below for what you prefer to put in your build, if you prefer the blowout version, if you prefer this, or we have another version of Labyrinth coming up very soon, probably not tomorrow, but very, very, very soon, because this next version I'm playing, probably not as good as this, but it is so much fun and definitely my go-to favorite. We're going to be showing that off again soon as well. Like the video, subscribe if you haven't. Let's get into game one. Already getting into game one here. Now, these games aren't in any particular order. We're just going to show them off here. We're going to go for our furniture here off the bat so we can chain to that Our Lady Labyrinth at the Silver Castle. There's an opposing Maxi. They're going to get to draw a card here, but ultimately speaking, that's not too impactful. We're going to let them have their one. That's totally fine. We're going to set the Big Welcome Labyrinth to the field, and just like that, full combo. We talked about this in our last video as well. All you need is Lady and Big Welcome, and you can activate any card directly from your deck. Now, this is how we're going to do it. I do believe in this match... No, it's a different replay. So here, our opponent's playing Tiddlements, of course. They're going to activate Polymerization. We're going to go Max C here. Now, we were holding off on our Big Welcome because we do have a plan. Now we're going to chain to the Polymerization, the Big Welcome Labyrinth. Big Welcome Labyrinth, sorry, to our own Maxi. Big Welcome Labyrinth then allows us to activate Lady of the Silver Castle as well. So Lady of the Silver Castle, going to set a card directly to the field, going to set Dimensional Barrier, Big Welcome, summon into Coup Clock, bounce back the Coup Clock, Maxi and Poly both resolve. He's going to fusion summon here in the Millennium Eyes Restrict, which I thought was very, very interesting, because he didn't open up any of his primary tier names, but it's actually beneficial for him that he did this over a regular Kikalos play, because ultimately he goes to activate the Millennium Eyes Restrict. That's totally fine. He does activate it a little bit early. Instead of waiting on the Coup Clock, he actually activates it in response. Now, ultimately, we would have imprinted it either way, so it wasn't a massive issue regardless, but now we can flip up D-Barrier. Not only does D-Barrier negate the effects of all face-up monsters of the card you declare, it also prevents their summoning for the rest of the turn. So for the rest of this turn, our opponent cannot fusion summon. We declared fusion, his restrict is negated, and he cannot summon any more fusions. He's forced to just play his cards and pass his turn. Just like that. He's got 8,000 life points. We're going to draw into a Chandelier here. We're going to switch the attack mode, activating the Chandelier. He's going to activate Millennium Eyes Restrict, of course. We're going to chain the Big Welcome Labyrinth from the graveyard to bounce it back to the extra deck before, of course, he can actually steal our card. Sending it back. activating the Chandelier, setting Welcome Labyrinth to the field. Chandelier in the graveyard as well as Coup Clock in the graveyard are both going to activate, adding themselves back to hand. But there is the Mudora. Mudora is actually going to slow us down quite a bit here, because what we would have done is we would have been able to use the Coup Clock in order to activate the Welcome Labyrinth this turn, summon out another monster, put out much more damage. But on this occasion, we're just going to have to settle for the 3k and the pass. We, of course, still have a lot of resources to play with here, but our opponent does not. We've managed to sink most of the resources in on their initial turn and stop them dead in their tracks. Lady gonna set the Ace Dragon Prison to the field. Ariana then being summoned out. Ariana gonna search the deck for Ariane. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Ariana, whatever. The twins. And our opponent doesn't stick around for much longer. Yeah, we would have gone into some sort of rank 4 plays and whatever there, but we had Lethal on board. It was pretty much done, right? So that is the D barrier combo in play. Again, as you can see, we're still getting the most out of the new cards, the most out of that particular combo, even if we're not playing the virus cards. The virus cards are just very bloated. They don't always work. There's a lot of situations where they're not that strong, whereas D barrier is significantly more powerful, way more often, which is why we're focusing around that. But either way, let's get into game 2. Alrighty, getting into game 2 here. So we've got a pretty interesting hand. So we do. Let's quickly jump our sound effects. Got a pretty interesting hand. We've got Extravagance of things, but we are playing second. Our opponent plays Extravagance as well, which makes us think that they're playing Labyrinth. Now, because of that, we decide to hold off on the Ash Blossom and instead save it for one of their welcome cards, of course. We're going to activate the Furniture towards the end of the turn. That is unironically going to allow him to use his Lady. Remember, Lady can be activated in response to Labyrinth or trap cards. It doesn't have to be yours. We're going to set Big Welcome to get us some momentum here for our turn. We draw into another pot of Extravagance, which is unfortunate. We're going to activate it, banish 6, draw 2. They're going to go Big Welcome here. They're trying to set up their full combo, but that is why we held on to the Ash Blossom, because we know that if we can stop it in its tracks, then it's not going to be a problem. They're going to go the Welcome Labyrinth here. We're going to activate Big Welcome. He is, of course, going to be able to chain his Lady to that towards the end of the chain. But what he isn't able to do here is add the Coup Clock to his hand from his deck. So we're going to grab Summon Lady, Return Lady. He summons out the lovely Labyrinth of the Silver Castle. That gets negated. And our Extravagance, draw 2. We drew into 2 fantastic cards being evenly matched for the first part. Lord of Heavenly Prison coming out here. Lord of Heavenly Prison going to set up Temple of the Kings, which is a phenomenal tech option. Temple of the Kings, by the way, is beast as all hell. This card allows you to activate 1 trap card per turn the turn it was set. This card's really cool. I love this. Either way, evenly matched time. Drop it. Getting rid of basically his entire field. Normal summoning the Ariana. Lady then activating in chain to that. Evenly matched is disgusting right now. We're going to summon out Lady here. Ariana's going to grab us Welcome Labyrinth. We, of course, have Welcome and the AC Prison. And from here on out, it's basically just going to be an absolute bloodbath. They're going to set 2, go into the battle phase. We're going to flip up our Welcome Labyrinth. He's going to activate Lady in response to that. He's going to activate Big Welcome Labyrinth from the graveyard as well to bounce the remaining trap card back to our hand. We're actually going to let that happen. We're going to let that go back to our hand here. He's going to set Ace Dragon's Prison to the field from his deck. Welcome Labyrinth going to summon out the lovely Labyrinth of the Silver Castle out to the field. We're going to activate Big Welcome Labyrinth here, banishing it, returning the Lady back to our hand so we can use Lovely's effect as well as Ariana's effect, because a monster was removed from the field by the effect of a normal trap, as well as Welcome Labyrinth, as well as Labyrinth Stove, and our Lady Labyrinth. We're just chaining cards. Chain link 5 during your opponent's battle phase. That's pretty nuts. Special summon, set to the field, draw. We're going to set Ace Dragon Prison to the field. That protects our Lady even on top of everything else. We're going to destroy the prison that he just set to the field. He is going to take out our Lady, but you know what? That's fine. We got a ton of advantage out of that turn. So we're just going to have to roll with it, basically. Activating Extravagance once more, banish 6. He's going to activate Big Welcome in response here. He's going to activate his Lady too. That is absolutely fine. Welcome Labyrinth, of course, activating as well to summon out another Labyrinth monster directly from his deck. So he's going to summon out the Lady as well from the deck, setting Compulsory Evacuation Device to the field before summoning out lovely Labyrinth of the Silver Castle, using its effect to bounce another Lady back to his hand. Extravagance, grabbing us 2 cards. Now he's going to use his lovely here as well as the Welcome Labyrinth in his graveyard. We're going to chain Welcome Labyrinth to that, and then essentially We get to summon out a lady of our own. They get to add Welcome Labyrinth back to their field. They're going to pop our Lovely that's on the field before activating the lady in their hand. We're going to use Max C. Again, we're not going to be getting a ton of value out of this later in the game, so we might as well get value out of it while we can. Drawing one off of its summon, except we can't. So here, I keep on making this mistake. So on the turn in which you activate Pot of Extravagance, do not activate Max C. I make this mistake all the time. You can't draw cards on the turn you activate Extravagance. Stupid misplay. Don't do it. Into the battle phase, we're going to take out his lady here. And now we're going to use Ace Dragon's Prison, returning the lady back from his graveyard to the field, banishing both of his ladies. Now Labyrinth is going to special summon back our Lovely. And our opponent realizes without the Lady Labyrinth at the Silver Castle, he can't possibly win the mirror match. Unfortunate. And that's pretty much it. Let's get into game 3. Alrighty, game 3 here, and this one's going to be up against a bit of a different deck here. We're playing against Thunder Dragons, but it's an even more pure version of Thunder Dragons than what we're used to. They're going to go raw Colossus here out the rip, so they are. Now, Colossus is problematic for most decks, and while it does prevent some of our plays, we open up a good enough hand to where we don't necessarily really care about it too much. We're going to go Extravagance, of course, banish 6, draw 2. Again, we got a really solid hand here. We are going to imperm the Colossus in response, basically because we do want to search our deck with Ariana. We're going to activate Cult by the Grave here on the Max C. Now, I don't know if that was the smartest option in the world. We could possibly have just let that resolve. I can't remember if I had a plan here or not. But either way, we're going to imperm the Colossus, normal summon Ariana. We're going to grab, or we would have grabbed, sorry, Lady Labyrinth of the Silver Castle so we could set up our big play. But unfortunately, it was not meant to be. But either way, we got enough materials here to where we can make stuff work. We're going to drop 2. We're going to grab Big Welcome. We're going to set our Welcome and our Ace Dragon's Prison. And we're going to pass. We're in a really solid position here. They're going to go straight to battle, swinging in at our Ariana. We're going to activate the Welcome Labyrinth, summoning out the Lady, flipping up the Big Welcome, chaining to that our Lady Labyrinth of the Silver Castle. Here now we're going to get to set a card directly to the field. We're going to choose an Infinite Impermanence. And we're going to summon Lovely Labyrinth at the Silver Castle. Yep, bouncing back the Lady, triggering off the Lovely and the Ariana and the Welcome. I always get tripped up over Lovely and Lady's names. But look at this, like look at how consistently you can do these crazy chains of advantage. Summoning Torby, setting the Welcome Labyrinth, drawing a card, and then special summoning out the Lady, and then we get to pop a card out of his hand as well, popping the Thunder Dragon Dark. We're going to go Ace Dragon's Prison here, summoning out the Corridor, banishing both it and his Colossus, and just like that, GG's. Pretty good stuff. Again, it's pretty straightforward stuff. I mean, Labyrinth is very consistent, it's very strong. And it just does these impossible chains where they just generate incredible amounts of advantage. If you don't stop them right out the gate, if you don't like stomp them out right at the beginning of the duel, they are going to overrun you. There's nothing you can do about it. Let's get into game 4. Alright, game 4 here. Again, just pretty standard stuff. Again, most of these videos were done, I think we took 4 replays out of a set of 8 games. So it's not as if like we went looking for replays, right? The deck just feeds us these incredible situations. They're going to go for Dogmatica. We're playing against Dogmatica. Now, it's not very often that you get to use this effect. But what we're going to do here, our opponent goes into the battle phase, right? They go into the battle phase, so we know they have Evenly Matched. Evenly Matched is normally a huge counter to the Labyrinth. However, there are ways in which Labyrinth can play around it. So what we're going to do is we're going to use Welcome, summon the Lady. We're going to chain Big Welcome here. And chaining, of course, to that Our Lady Labyrinth of the Silver Castle. We get to set Dimensional Barrier. Now, I don't know if anyone has read this card fully, but this isn't limited to extra deck monsters. You can also declare Ritual or Pendulums, as well as Fusion Synchrono Exceed. So we can declare Ritual. We're then going to summon out the Coup Clock, return Coup Clock to hand. That's fine. Ariana's going to draw 1. Coup Clock then going to activate. We're going to drop that to then activate our Dimensional Barrier, locking him out of Rituals. He does go for the Evenly Matched and clears everything but Our Lady, but at this stage he is now locked out of Rituals. You cannot Ritual Summon. Let's see you beat Our Lady. And he's going to go Nadir Servant, and just like that, he beat the Lady. I'm going to grab Ecclesia from deck, sending the Ventus to the grave. Ventus, when sent to the grave, is going to pop Our Lady. Going to normal summon the Ecclesia here, grabbing Dogmatica Matrix from the deck. and they're just going to pass turn at this stage because they can't really do very much else. We're going to activate our Torby to set Welcome Labyrinth to the field, Ku-Klok then adding itself back to our hand to be used later. Now, we do have Extravagance here, which is going to be very useful. Extravagance, obviously banish 6, draw 2. We're going to normal summon Ariana, the Labyrinth Servant. Lady Labyrinth of the Silver Castle, adding itself to being added to hand and then summoning itself to the field. Welcome Labyrinth, then activating, so we can use Lady Labyrinth of the Silver Castle as a response. Summoning out setting directly to the field the big Welcome Labyrinth. We're going to summon Chandelier from the deck because we honestly don't really have anything else worth summoning. We're going to drop both it and Evenly Matched to set a card to the field. Ku-Klok then activating, so we can use our big Welcome Labyrinth here, summoning back from the graveyard the lovely Labyrinth that we sent there earlier in the duel, and our opponent realizes very, very, very quickly we're going to use the lovely Labyrinth, reset the dimensional barrier from the grave, and then we have D-Barrier every single turn. He will not be allowed to fusion summon for the duration of this duel, and he knows it, so he scoops it up. Pretty easy stuff. Let's get into the deck profile. So there you have it. That was just a set of, again, random games that we had when we were playing. We actually took all of those games down from playing live with a group of people in the Discord. So if you want to be involved in those types of calls, group sessions, deck building sessions, whatever, they're just always going on informally within the Discord. I'll randomly hop into a voice call or an open lobby for anybody to join, and we just sit, talk Yu-Gi-Oh, and play around a bit. So that's an awful lot of fun, and that's where things like this come from. So again, there's not really a ton different about this deck compared to the one we posted yesterday. Number one, the consistency factor is something that we wanted to improve massively. Not just the consistency of your combos, but also the consistency with which you're able to take wins. And a large part of that comes down to having an actual hand trap lineup, right? So we got the triple Maxi, we got the triple Ash Blossom, we've got, of course, the double Call by the Grave, and we're still rocking the triple Infinite Impermanence and triple Evenly Matched. So at the very least, we're running a decent enough package here to where we're more likely to be able to stop opponent plays, even if we're going second. Which does help massively. It does help massively. Another thing that we've added in is a little bit more care when it comes to our extra deck. Using Ariane here, we're able to utilize our rank 4 package in our extra deck very, very easily. What does the rank 4 package actually do? Well, we're going to talk about the monster specifically in just a moment, but having even a singular copy of this card in your deck opens up that door. Now, we do have other versions of the deck where we abuse this card even more. Stay tuned for those. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe so you see those as they're coming out. But this is going to be a key card in other versions of the deck. So let's go through it. Again, we're going to keep this brief because I did cover this deck profile, yesterday, and not a ton has changed, but we are going to be talking specifically about the changes. So Ku-Klok, an integral part of your combo, can discard itself as a quick effect, and during this turn, so long as you control a Labyrinth monster, you can activate a card that was set this turn. Pretty straightforward. Torby and Chandelier, both of these cards will send themselves from hand or field to the graveyard, as well as discarding another card to set a Labyrinth spell or trap directly from your hand or deck to the field. So these two cards increase your consistency massively, and because they're quick effects, you can, even when you're going second, still have your trap card set up so that whenever it comes around to your turn, you're able to start summoning monsters. So you're not an entire turn behind. So absolutely max these guys out. They are very, very important. Max them out. You have to. They can also add themselves, as well as Ku-Klok, they can all add themselves from the graveyard back to the hand. Ku-Klok does it whenever you discard a card to activate a Labyrinth effect, like your furniture. And the furniture monsters will add themselves back. Well, Torby will special summon itself, and Chandelier will add itself back to hand whenever a monster is removed from the field by the effect of a normal trap. The twins, Ariane and Ariana. Ariane is a little bit different from her sister. You can send a normal trap from your hand or field to the graveyard to special summon a level 4 or lower fiend monster directly from your deck in defense. Now that is incredible. She also has the same common effect as her sister. From your if a monster is removed from the field by the effect of a normal trap card, you can draw a card and then either special summon a fiend from your hand or set a spell or trap card. So she has that effect in common with her sister. The difference is Ariane can actually use both of her effects on the same turn, only once each, whereas Ariana is a little bit different. Ariana, on summon, will search your deck for any Labyrinth card, and then of course has the effect where if a monster leaves the field by the effect of a trap, draw one, then either special or set. But Ariana can only activate one of her effects per turn, not both. So that's a bit of a key difference here. Ariana being able to special summon a level 4 lower fiend, basically special summoning your Ariana. Ariana then will get searching your deck for a card, and it gives you 2 level 4s on your board with no sort of extra deck locks or anything like that, which opens up the doors massively to things like a Baguska, to things like Triple D Wave King Caesar for a Machine X, to Abyss Dweller. So these two in particular are amazing. Baguska is a nice one to fall back on, but these two are the ones I love in particular, especially Abyss Dweller. So this card is incredible for exactly that, plus you still get the benefits of the Ariana search. We've got a lovely Labyrinth of the Silver Castle. This card is one of your boss monsters. It's got a few different effects. First of all, as a flat out protection effect, your opponent can't activate monster effects in response to the activation of your normal traps, which gives you a little bit more protection. They can't brawn to floor your trap cards anymore. Once per turn, you can set a normal trap from your graveyard back to the field. Recycling your D barrier is amazing. And lastly, if a monster leaves the field by the effect of a normal trap, you can pop a card either in your opponent's hand at random or one on their field. Again, fairly straightforward stuff, but this card, while the twins and the chandeliers and furniture all generate you advantage by grabbing you cards, the lovely Labyrinth instead generates you advantage by taking away your opponent's cards, which is just as valuable, if not more valuable. Then we've got our 2 copies of Lady Labyrinth at the Silver Castle. You can bump this up to 3. I think this being a 3 would be fine. I've only got 2, and to be honest, I probably wouldn't play 3. I think 2 is fine. There are certain situations where you don't want to see this in hand, so I think like 2 is a-okay. So long as you control a set card, this card cannot be targeted by or destroyed by card effects. Once per turn, when a trap card is activated, you can chain this card to basically set any normal trap directly from your deck to the field. Once per turn, if a Labyrinth monster, a Labyrinth card or a normal trap card was activated during this turn, you can special summon this card whenever you want from the hand for the duration of that turn. So Lady is absolutely mental. Pot of Extravagance, draw 2. The field spell, of course, field spell activates if you activate a Welcome Labyrinth normal trap, you can pop a card in the field. If you activate a non-Labyrinth normal trap, you get to special summon a fiend from your hand or graveyard. Pretty good card. Double called by. This is mainly to stop Ash Blossom, primarily because Ash Blossom hurts, right? You could even justify running a Cross-It Designator if you really wanted to. I think that would be a good idea, honestly. If you really wanted to go ham, you could even run Gamma, right? But I think that's maybe going a little bit too far. D-Barrier, the main focus of the deck, to be perfectly honest. You can declare a monster card type among Ritual, Fusion, Synchro, Exceed, or Pendulum. For the rest of that turn, your opponent cannot special summon monsters of that card type. Absolutely busted in a lot of matchups. This card by itself will just win you games. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's why we were able to win so consistently with this, is we were able to set up Dimensional Barrier basically every game. And if you're able to set this up, chances are you're walking away with a dub, right? It's going to be very hard for your opponent to come back from that. Triple Evenly Match to wipe the board. Triple Imperm, Monster to gain normal trap. Ace Dragon's Prison to be set off of Lady in a pinch. You can target a monster in your opponent's graveyard, summon it to your field, then you get the option to banish one of your monsters and one of your opponent's monsters, so long as they have the same type. So basically just graveyard destruction and field removal that doesn't target, and it banishes, so it gets past most forms of protection. It gets past Avramax, it gets past the Lady and the Mirror Match, as you saw in the gameplay. So Ace Dragon's Prison, I think, is definitely one of the more powerful normal traps and the more applicable ones in this current meta. Triple copies then of Welcome Labyrinth and Big Welcome Labyrinth. Both just special summon out Labyrinths from field. You both know these cards. We talked about them in the last video. But these cards definitely both 3-ofs mandatory. A lot of people cutting Welcome down to 2. You can. If you don't have 3 copies of it, you can get away with 2. But if you have 3, there's no reason to play less than 3. For sure. 41 bugs me. if you're not afraid of Bestials, you can drop a Ku Klok down and make it 40 cards like this. I just really don't like Bestials, so we're playing 2 copies of this. But you can get away with 1. I think 1 is fine as well. The extra deck, we paid a little bit closer attention to the extra deck this time around. Gigantic Sprite is a decent card. It's not one you're going to use a lot, though. It just special summons out the Torby from deck, and then Torby can send itself from the field to the grave to set up a Labyrinth card. Once in a blue moon, if even, you're going to do that play, so don't even worry about this. If you don't have Gigantic Sprite or you just don't want to play it, cut it. It's really not necessary. Abyss Dweller is definitely one of the better ones, though. If you were going to craft any card in the extra deck specifically to play this deck, I think Abyss Dweller is definitely the one to go for. As a quick effect, you can detach a material from this card, and for the duration of this turn, your opponent cannot activate any card effects in the graveyard. That is exceptionally powerful, especially in this meta filled with tier limits. So Abyss Dweller absolutely is a large part of the viability of even running Ariane in your deck to begin with. Now here's a more interesting option. Triple D, Wave King Caesar, as well as Divisor King Deus Machinix, whatever its name is. These two go hand in hand because you're going to summon this, but you're only summoning it so you can immediately rank it up into Machinix, which can be summoned on top of any Triple D Exceed monster. Or any Triple D monster, right? Machinix is pretty interesting because it has an effect where once per chain, when a monster on the field is activated, you can detach two materials to attach that opponent's monster to this card as material. So you just yoink their card, yoink their kit, yoink their Rhino Heart, yoink whatever. And it's once per chain, not once per turn. So you can usually use this card twice on the same turn, because when summoned, it'll have 3 materials. Obviously, you have to detach 2 to use it, bringing it down to 1. But you steal their monster, which brings it back up to 2. So now you have enough to detach again for it. So you can use its effect twice, essentially. And you can do so both in the same turn, which makes it basically just 2 interruptions for the price of 1. Really, really solid card. Baguska, while it's in defense, all monsters on the field are switched to defense and their activated effects are negated. Pretty straightforward, just here to stall if you need to, but I have yet to summon this card. I'm only playing 3 of it because I don't really want to banish all my copies of Extravagance, and I don't want to craft more copies of Abyss Dweller, so it's filler for the most part, to be honest. I would be tempted to play a copy of Lingaribo in the extra deck just to get around Ibly, but I haven't been hit with Ibly in a long time, so I'm not overly concerned about Ibly or playing around it. But if you wanted to be like, 100% perfectionist, I would definitely recommend dropping a Baguska and putting in a copy of Lingaribo. Zeus, because it's Zeus. And then just a basic sort of link package that you'll never ever use. And Gloomy, Sprite Elf, hopefully trying to help you extend into bigger link monsters. You could, if you wanted to drop Gigantic, throw in a Unicorn if you really wanted to. That's not a terrible plan. You could even try to squeeze in a IP Mask Arena. So there's definitely a few things you can do with the extra deck in terms of like versatility. For example, Muckraker isn't really that good in this deck. I was just playing around with the idea. It didn't really come up often enough for me to justify it, so I would probably swap them out for an IP and a Unicorn and play it closer to this. But like I said, the extra deck very, very rarely comes up. But in this version of it, we at least wanted to have some playable cards. And there you go. That is the full profile. So as you can see, this is version 2 that we were playing. We do have another version of the deck coming up very soon that I am very, very excited about, and I plan on playing a lot more. So if you want to see that as it comes out, absolutely subscribe and hit the wee bell. I'm not going to upload it tomorrow because I think we've had enough lab for a wee while, but it'll be very, very soon. So that's everything from me. Subscribe if you enjoyed. Leave any comments or questions down below, or even hop into the Discord to ask us more directly. And with that, I'll leave you to it. Bye bye now.